What could a 10-year-old boy possibly say that would make a judge, seasoned lawyers, and an entire courtroom fall silent? Not the kind of silence that comes with boredom or routine, but the kind that grips your chest and makes your pulse skip, where even the ticking of the clock feels too loud. Imagine a courtroom buzzing with its usual chaos. Papers shuffling, lawyers whispering strategies, the bailiff calling out names. When suddenly all eyes lock onto a single child standing at the center. 10 years old, small in frame, with eyes carrying more weight than any child should, and when he opened his mouth, no one expected what followed. Judge Caprio, a man who had heard every excuse, every tear, every plea for mercy, leaned forward slightly, sensing something different in the boy's trembling voice as lawyers froze mid-sentence and even the court reporter's fingers hovered above the keys, as if afraid to miss a word, because somehow everyone knew this wasn't just another case. The boy gripped the edge of the podium, knuckles white, shoulders shaking, his words at first barely above a whisper, as if they might break if spoken too loudly, yet there was something in his eyes. Fear, yes, but also something deeper. As he began with fragments and half-thoughts. Sir, here, please, there, and Judge Caprio did not rush him. He simply waited, allowing the tension in the room to thicken as everyone wondered what secret could be so heavy that a 10-year-old would carry it into a courtroom. What truth could make hardened lawyers shift uncomfortably and strangers in the gallery lean forward with wide eyes and parted lips, because even before the boy revealed anything, they could feel the weight of something coming, something that would leave no one the same. Chloe doesn't notice anything at all, too absorbed in scrolling, as Judge Caprio studies the scene with the practiced patience of someone trained to see beyond appearances, a weary mother in scrubs and a child dressed like a pop star, feeling the imbalance before a word is spoken. Miss Bennett, please step forward, he says gently, and Laura nods and moves toward the bench, but before she can speak, Chloe's voice slices through the quiet. Can we hurry this up? I have plans, freezing the courtroom not just for what she says but how she says it, careless and loud, without even looking up from her iPhone. Laura's face turns crimson as she spins around and whispers, Chloe, please, not now, while Judge Caprio leans forward, calm but firm, telling the young girl he is speaking to her mother and asking her to wait quietly. Chloe responds with an exaggerated sigh, shifting her weight, eyes still glued to her phone, the sound echoing like an insult as whispers ripple through the gallery. A man crosses his arms, a woman shakes her head, even the bailiff raises an eyebrow, and Judge Caprio says nothing yet, though everyone can feel something is about to change. He allows a long, silent stretch to settle, a stillness that tightens the room, before addressing Chloe again, calm but edged with steel, telling her she has forgotten where she is and who she is speaking about. Chloe finally glances up, the orange glow of her phone reflecting against her cheek, shrugs, and says, whatever. My dad's calling me, then answers the call right there in front of the judge, casually greeting her father and complaining about being stuck in court with her mom over parking tickets, so embarrassing, drawing a collective gasp from the room. A collective gasp crashes through the courtroom like a wave, and Officer Daniels, the bailiff, moves on instinct, but Judge Caprio simply raises one hand, steady, deliberate, and orders Chloe to end the call immediately. For the first time her arrogance flickers as she protests that he can't take her phone, bragging that her father is a lawyer and will sue, yet Judge Caprio's expression never changes as he calmly instructs Officer Daniels to collect the phone. Chloe clutches it to her chest, insisting it's illegal, only to hear the judge reply in a quiet, commanding voice, I can and I will, as the bailiff steps forward. She hesitates, searching her mother's face for rescue, but Laura doesn't look back, standing before the bench with tears pooling in her eyes, and realizing she is alone, Chloe huffs and finally drops the orange iPhone into the officer's hand, muttering that it's unfair, to which the judge replies, life often is. Turning back to Laura, Judge Caprio asks if her ex-husband is an attorney, and she nods miserably, explaining that Ethan Cole practices corporate law downtown and is 8 months behind on child support, drawing murmurs from the gallery as the judge notes it down, his expression growing grave. He then observes that despite this, Laura's daughter claimed her father buys her expensive gifts, and Laura nods again, her voice breaking as she explains the designer clothes, jewelry, and new phones every other weekend, admitting she can't compete, just as Chloe snaps that her mother is jealous because her dad upgraded, the words slicing through the room and making Laura flinch as if struck. The crowd reacts audibly with gasps and murmured curses, even Officer Daniels stepping forward again as tension radiates through the room, until Judge Caprio raises his hand once more and silences everything with a single word: enough. He fixes Chloe with a look that chills the air and tells her she believes money equals respect and brand names equal worth, warning that she is confusing wealth with value and that life will teach her the difference the hard way if she doesn't learn it now. Chloe stares back, torn between fear and defiance, weakly saying she's just a kid, to which Judge Caprio replies that this is exactly why someone needs to teach her before it's too late. He allows a long, heavy silence to settle over the courtroom, then calmly but firmly reminds her that she has forgotten where she is and who she is speaking about, only for Chloe to glance up, phone in hand, dismissively say her dad is calling, and answer it right there, complaining loudly about being stuck in court over parking tickets. A collective gasp crashes through the courtroom as Officer Daniels moves instinctively, but Judge Caprio again lifts one steady hand and orders her to end the call immediately. Chloe blinks as her arrogance briefly falters, protesting that her father is a lawyer and will sue, while Judge Caprio's expression remains unchanged as he calmly instructs Officer Daniels to collect Miss Bennett's phone, prompting Chloe to clutch it to her chest and insist it's illegal to do so in the courtroom. Judge Caprio asks how her actions could be considered ridiculous, and Ashley shrugs, claiming the camera angle makes it look worse than it was, that she barely touched him, and that he is exaggerating for attention because of who her mother is, which causes the gallery to erupt as Harold, sitting with visible bruising on his face, closes his eyes. Then Harold testifies that he has worked security for 15 years, previously served 30 years with the Providence Fire Department, and before that served in Vietnam from 1968 to 1971, explaining that he was simply doing his job that night by identifying Ashley Rivera's ID as fake using UV verification, politely informing her he could not admit her being threatened with her mother's position as police chief, and being slapped across the face when he radioed for assistance, emphasizing that at 69 years old being struck in the face is dangerous, after which Officer Chen testifies about Ashley's threats during her arrest. Ashley then makes the decision that becomes one of the most viral moments in Providence courtroom history when she pulls out her iPhone, opens Snapchat, and begins creating a story by taking a selfie with the courtroom in the background and Judge Caprio partially visible, adding captions that mock the proceedings and claim the judge is dramatic and that her mother will fix everything, posting all 3 snaps to her story where thousands of followers can see them. But a court reporter notices and a news photographer captures her taking the selfies, and after finishing with the witness, Judge Caprio asks if she was using her phone during the proceedings, to which Ashley shows no embarrassment and claims she was just checking messages, prompting the judge to order the bailiff to retrieve her phone despite her objection, and the bailiff takes her iPhone and hands it to Judge Caprio with Snapchat still open. Tears streak the pink letters on Chloe's hoodie as she buries her face in her hands and the courtroom falls into absolute silence, the weight of the moment settling over everyone, until Judge Caprio leans forward again, his voice softer now, and tells her that before she leaves she owes her mother a real apology, not a whisper or shrug, but one spoken aloud in that room. Chloe trembles and asks if she can say it at home, only to be firmly told that she disrespected her mother here and must make it right here, and when she finally turns to Laura, her lip quivering, she softly says she's sorry. Guided by the judge to explain why, Chloe breaks down completely, apologizing for saying her dad was better, for embarrassing her mother, and for failing to see how hard she works, insisting through tears that Laura is not a failure but everything, which shatters Laura's composure as she pulls her daughter into her arms while the courtroom watches with tearful eyes and even Officer Daniels looks away. Weeks later they return side by side, smiling, Chloe dressed simply without her orange iPhone, proudly telling Judge Caprio she has completed 32 hours of community service and befriended an elderly woman at Sunset Nursing Home who worked 3 jobs her whole life and reminded her of her mom, saying she finally understands, prompting the judge to nod with quiet pride and tell her she has already served her sentence as the courtroom applauds softly and mother and daughter leave hand in hand, lighter than before, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful verdict isn't punishment, but transformation. The court goes into a 40-minute recess and then reconvenes with Police Chief Maria Rivera appearing by video call from police headquarters, in full uniform with the American flag behind her, her face showing devastation and restrained fury as Judge Caprio explains that her daughter Ashley is facing charges for assaulting a 69-year-old Vietnam veteran security guard and mocked the proceedings on Snapchat while claiming her mother would fix everything, after which a long silence follows before Chief Rivera says she has watched the same security footage seen by millions, showing her daughter using a fake ID, threatening Mr. Thompson with her position, slapping a Vietnam veteran, and now posting on Snapchat during court that she would fix it. Attempts by Ashley to interrupt her shut down by her mother, who tells her to be quiet and face consequences, and Chief Rivera states that as Providence's first female police chief with 28 years in law enforcement she has fought for accountability and equal application of the law, yet her own daughter assaulted a veteran, threatened officers with her authority, and publicly claimed she would interfere, prompting Judge Caprio to ask what she is requesting of the court, to which she replies that she wants her daughter treated exactly like any other 20-year-old who assaulted a veteran. An elderly woman clutched her purse and offered $20, her voice trembling, and then one by one, others from all corners of the courtroom, strangers of different lives, races, and professions, stepped forward to help. A police officer placed $20 on the bench, a lawyer added $50, and someone whispered, "God bless them." Within minutes, bills and coins covered the desk where only Emma's jar had been. The bailiff turned away to wipe his eyes, and the clerk sniffled as she tried to count. When the total reached $165, Judge Caprio exhaled deeply, removing his glasses, and announced, his voice unsteady, that the fine had been paid not by one person, but by everyone present, turning to Emma and telling her that her wish had come true because she reminded them all what kindness looks like. Gentle applause filled the courtroom. Maria sobbed into her hands, and Emma smiled shyly. Judge Caprio sentences Ashley Rivera for assaulting a 69-year-old Vietnam veteran, using a fake ID, threatening police officers with her mother's authority, and showing contempt for court by posting mocking Snapchats, ordering 1 year in county jail suspended to 6 months with good behavior, a $25,000 fine due within 90 days, 600 hours of community service with veterans organizations, 3 years probation, a formal written apology to Mr. Thompson to be read in court, and banning her from all licensed establishments in Providence until age 21, with any violation triggering the full sentence. Her viral Snapchat mocking the judge becomes a national symbol of entitled behavior meeting accountability, shared widely in news stories about privilege and consequences, and 6 months later Ashley completes her sentence and meets Harold at the VA hospital where she has been volunteering, apologizing for slapping him, threatening him with her mother's authority, and mocking the court, to which Harold responds with quiet dignity, reminding her that he served so everyone could be equal under the law regardless of privilege, and that now she has learned the most important lesson of her life, that no followers, privilege, or mother's position places anyone above accountability, embodying justice and integrity.